días, gracias por estar con nosotros en su programa Café con Leche, la voz de los latinos en América. Estamos transmitiendo desde Hermosa 1470 AM, 96.9 FM y también en YouTube y al ratito en Facebook. Gracias por estar con nosotros. Tengo a Michael Dutton y me llamo Lilia Galindo, pero do you know, Michael, I want to talk to you about something very important. Right here in the Antelope Valley, we live a lot of Latinos or Hispanics, and many Hispanic people.
Majority population.
Majority. And the sad thing is that we don't have any representation in almost any place. So you go to school districts, nobody, and I don't have any doubt that people who is a board member of any school district has the best desire to help everybody. But I was wondering if I was in a situation in which I was going to represent the Chinese, and I believe that I am a good person with good intentions. But if I was going to represent the Chinese people, and I don't know the culture, and I don't know the language, my work it was not going to be very effective, even if I was trying very hard. So this is why it's so important that we have people. But when I ask people, oh no, I don't want because I don't, and tell them a little bit for somebody who is new, what. For example, I believe that younger people should be also there because they are closer to the experience of the school. They saw what happened. They saw what kind of things they would like to do more, and sometimes we are all afraid that trying a new career or a new adventure. But you tell them, you know that.
Well, I think a lot of your observation is accurate. I think some of the things that you surmise about the situation are pretty accurate as well. However, there are opportunities that I think people miss when they don't actively engage themselves in the things that determine their course of life. Laws get made, rules get made, policies get made, and if you're not part of the making of them, then you and your culture could get left out or left behind because there's nobody with that vantage point or that awareness to help make those rules, those laws, those policies, those things that affect people's daily life. And so it's really important for everybody in our country to be involved in the process and to know and understand it because an educated population fares much better and does much better than an uneducated one. An uneducated population gets led by the nose by those who know and think they want to control others.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important to have that vantage point. It's important to participate and be a part of the process.
Bueno, estamos hablando, amigos, le comentaba yo a Michael que lo que vemos aquí, aquí en el Valle del Antílope y la comunidad hispana es mayoritaria y sin embargo no tenemos nadie o casi nadie que nos represente porque todo el mundo le da miedo, pero si nosotros no tomamos ese cargo, le digo, es como si a mí me pusieran, le digo, yo creo que soy una buena persona, pero si me pusieran a representar a los chinos, donde no hablo el idioma ni entiendo las costumbres, por más buena gente que seas, no vas a poder ayudar de la misma manera, pero si sabes exactamente, porque tú lo viviste como estudiante, sabes exactamente qué eran las deficiencias, qué es lo que faltaba para salir adelante, pues entonces lo único que vas a hacer es ahí hablar por la gente que representas. Y Michael nos dice, definitivamente tenemos que, todo mundo se debe involucrar, dice, porque las leyes, las reglas, todo se hace para se hace de acuerdo a la gente que está representando en ese momento. Entonces, si no tenemos ningún representante que conozca ni nuestro idioma ni nuestra cultura, no va a haber nada que nos ayude a salir adelante porque no hay nadie que entienda exactamente cómo nos pueden ayudar. Así es que por eso yo quiero invitar a todas aquellas personas que tienen la capacidad, no es muy difícil. And do you know, for example, when I go to the meetings, board meetings, city council meetings,
Mhm.
I don't see anybody who is really, oh, I am so impressed because he's so smart or so sharp. I believe that these people like me, that with the desire to help, doing something, no, but no. What do you think? Do you have many board members that were so smart that you were impressed and or afraid of run against them to run? Okay.
No, I well, it's kind of hard to say. It's not hard to say. It's easy to say because I think every person in this world can make a difference if they put their mind and their heart to it. A lot of people are either put off or shy away from throwing their hat in the ring and being involved because they don't have the confidence in themselves. It doesn't matter who your opponent is. Do you believe in what you're doing? Do you want to do it? And if you do, then make every effort to make it happen. If it doesn't happen, okay, fine. I ran for the Keppel board 10 years before I was elected.
Well, do
It
you
didn't
know?
just happen.
I always put the example of Michael Reeves because he tried for some, at least for like 15 years, I believe.
Hmm.
Every single election he ran for the positions until he won the last election.
Hmm.
So, estamos hablando, amigos, le preguntaba yo a Michael que le digo, mucha gente está temerosa de participar porque creen que es muy difícil, porque creen que no pueden. Le digo que cuánta gente él ha conocido, dice, no, mira, cuando tienes el deseo, las ganas de hacerlo, lo vas a poder hacer. Te tienes que involucrar porque esa es la única manera de que podemos tener avances en nuestra comunidad. Entonces, lo único que tienes que hacer es, dice, le digo, hay muchísima gente brillante, dice, no. Dice, yo, por ejemplo, tuve que correr 10 años o corrí 10 años antes de que pudiera yo ganar como miembro de la mesa directiva. Pero cuando tienes el deseo de ayudar y de que cambie o que mejore tu comunidad, entonces te haces lo mejor que puedas para lograr lo que te estás proponiendo. Y si no lo ganaste, la próxima. Y le decía yo que Michael Reeves es una persona que corrió, o sea, fue candidato para ser electo muchas veces y nunca, no lo elegían, no lo elegían. Y yo decía, ¿por qué corre otra vez? Pero siguió corriendo y ahora ya ganó dos posiciones en la mesa directiva. And do you know, I think that it's not only good, but it's necessary because if we are so many Hispanics here and we don't help them to advance, everybody's going to go down. But if we help them, if we everybody uh, make the effort to work in the same direction, okay, we can be a very successful area because we are next to the aerospace companies. We could have so many opportunities if we educate all those children that sometimes they don't even speak English yet,
Hmm.
but they need help, no?
Well, I think it's incumbent upon all of us who are citizens to engage and participate. It can't be a monocultural perspective where I'm doing this because of my people. No, you do it because of people. You do it because of community and participate. Everybody should be participating. It doesn't matter your culture or your background, your orientation. It matters because we need people engaged in our processes in our government. And if you have every sort and every kind of person engaged, you have more opportunity and more chance that everybody gets represented.
Yeah, well, do you know, I specifically speak about Hispanics because
Hmm.
we have the language barrier. That is the big problem that doesn't allow us to advance as fast as we would like. Because I bet you that if I was speaking perfect English, I was not going to be here. I was going to be
I
in.
remember growing up, spending a lot of time in the Midwest, and in the Midwest there were a number of people, Polish, Lithuanians, and others, who there was no bilingual program. You either learn how to speak English or you didn't talk. There was no communication and no effort to make that more comfortable or convenient for them. English, of course, is more akin to their basic language than it is Spanish, but not terribly out of sync. I mean, even the Italians immigrated to America. We didn't have Italian in the school system, but here in the Southwest 5 states, there were some promises made and some agreements made many years ago that included Spanish as a language. And we have, as a nation, not honored that and not lived up to it. But there are a lot of people who remember from then, whose descendants remember now, and that becomes more of an issue. The language becomes more of an issue out here than it did back then, as opposed to now.
Well, I have to go back to that one, but let me translate.
Mm-hmm.
Estamos hablando de, yo digo que Michael está diciendo, bueno, pues debemos de pensar que vamos a ser candidatos electos para representar no a un grupo o a otro, sino a todos. Y le digo que efectivamente, pero en este caso tenemos el problema de que la comunidad hispana, muchos de ellos todavía no hablan inglés. Entonces está remontando a la historia y diciéndonos, bueno, es que en otros lados, dice, por ejemplo, de donde yo vivía, había gente polaca y gente que hablaba italiano y que tuvieron que aprender inglés porque si no, no podían comunicarse con nadie. Y entonces dice, pero aquí en estos estados del sur, pues todavía, ya saben, por la historia, aquellos que piensan que se debe de hablar español y entonces lo han transmitido, porque ese era el acuerdo, lo han transmitido a sus hijos y todo eso. Y por eso seguimos así. But do you know what I think about this kind of that it's not that we don't learn because we want to live our culture or something. But for example, you go to work, where the Latinos work in the farms. Who other people go to work in the farms?
I used to work with them.
Yeah, but how many people like you were there, or there not nobody? People who works in the farms don't have anybody to speak English or to learn from English. If you go to wash dishes in a restaurant, there is nobody. It's the kind of
that too.
No, but it's
But
the
I
kind.
understand what you're saying.
It's the kind of work that you have that you don't have the chance to say, okay, or now I have to speak English or nothing, because most of the people who is there speak your same language. And then also the students, no? If there are so many Hispanic students, and now you don't feel comfortable when you are learning a language, you are going to be friends with somebody who speaks Spanish, and then we are going to talk all the time in Spanish, and that makes more difficult my integration, more difficult to learn English. If we were in a situation in which, like you say, nobody's there, and you speak, I agree, but the kind of jobs that the Latinos have, I think that has contributed also to make.
No, I think it's very complicated, and I understand what you're saying, and there's truth to what you were saying, because there have been some policies and practices that I regret observing, witnessing myself, where people were actually imported from Mexico to do manual labor. I was doing the same labor and making more money, and they were imported. The Bracero program, where they were importing people to come and work, and they were separated and excluded, and they made their money and they harvested the crops and did different things, and then the economy shifted, and thank God Cesar Chavez and
Dolores
Huerta, formed the United Farm Workers Organization and unionized the workers, and things changed like overnight, and progressively got better and better for people who work in the agriculture industry. And that all happened. That was me. I was there. I picked plums and grapes and peaches, and and out in Lamont and Arvin and those that Button Willow, Mittler.
That is nice.
These are all
You
places.
are the only one who that I met who work in
Oh,
the
really?
farms too. Yeah.
Oh, no. I chopped a lot of cotton too.
Okay, we're going to take a break. Ahorita regresamos con la traducción. Esto nos ayuda para irnos familiarizando con el inglés a todos los que todavía no saben inglés. Ok, ahorita les traduzco un poquito.
No,
El abogado Ángelo
spent a lot of days out there in the fields.
Es como el mejor abogado del Valle del Antílope, así que si sales lastimado... A ver, ¿le subes al volumen, por favor? Solo llámale al 661-945-5300 y él ganará tu caso. Y si no gana, no le debes nada. No esperes más, 661-945-5300, 661-945-5300. Ángelo Campano, el abogado en quien la comunidad confía.
The West Nile virus is transmitted by the bite of a mosquito. Some cases are so
Go to
severe
school board
they
meeting.
result in
Watch what they
neurological
do.
disease such as meningitis. To protect you and your family, drain all standing water and maintain or drain swimming pools.
Yeah.
Mosquitoes are most active during
do you know
dawn and dusk.
Anthony? What
Protect
is
yourself
Anthony's
by
last
using
name?
insect repellents containing DEET,
Anthony
cardamom,
Martinez.
or oil
No,
of lemon
another
eucalyptus.
Anthony.
Birds can also carry
He
the
was
West Nile
a young
virus.
man
If
who
you
was
see
a
a dead
student
bird, call
at Palmdale High when I was a principal.
877-968-2473,
And now he's on the
877-968-2473. For more
Palmdale School
information,
District
visit
Board directly.
avmosquito.org.
Okay, let's start again. Hola, hola, amigos, muy buenos días. Gracias por estar con nosotros en su programa Café con Leche, la voz de los latinos en América. Estamos transmitiendo desde Hermosa 1470 AM, 96.9 FM. Tengo conmigo a Michael Dutton. Él es miembro de la mesa directiva del Condado de Los Ángeles, la Oficina de Educación del Condado de Los Ángeles. Fue ahí asignado por la supervisora Catherine Barger en un periodo de 2 años, y yo soy Lilia Galindo, la conductora de este programa. Pero voy a traducir lo que nos estaba diciendo Michael hace ratito, que no es todo porque no me voy a acordar de todo. Pero estamos hablando, amigos, de cómo yo le estaba explicando que lo que pasa es que los hispanos no aprenden inglés muy rápido porque siempre están rodeados de gente en su trabajo que habla el mismo idioma, y porque tenemos el tipo de trabajo que casi ninguna otra persona quiere hacer, porque a veces las personas inmigrantes que vinieron de otros países cuentan con muy poca educación formal, ¿no? Simplemente fueron nomás a primaria, secundaria, muy pocos que son profesionales o llegaron a la preparatoria. Entonces eso ha hecho que pues se destinen a labores del campo, ¿no? Donde no hay nadie. Michael nos platicaba que él sí trabajó para el campo, sí le tocó la cosecha de muchos productos, e incluso trabajó en un cultivo de algodón. Y nos estaba platicando de lo que había sucedido cuando los braceros, dice, en la temporada que se creó esa política para atraer a los trabajadores temporales por determinado tiempo, dice, pues se les ponía aparte, se les pagaba menos, y luego ya cuando acababan los regresaban. Pero entonces no ha habido esa oportunidad de aprender inglés, y para los muchachos también, pues como somos tantos y se siente uno no muy cómodo cuando no estás aprendiendo inglés, entonces te juntas con gente que habla español y nunca puedes avanzar. So, okay, give us an advice for even all this situation that I told you, that it's so difficult to learn English. How can we do it?
Rephrase the question.
That because, for example, I told you we are working in places in which everybody speaks Spanish. We live in families in which everybody speaks Spanish. Our home, the language is Spanish. How can still make an effort to learn English?
Oh, well, I mean, just associate and operate outside of your family. And I know that sounds easier said than done, but I I I moved to California in junior high school, and from Pennsylvania, from the East Coast to the West Coast. I remember hearing a little bit about Mexico when I was in school, but not much. I had never met anybody from Mexico. And my next door neighbor was Ernesto Lozano, and his wife was named Josephine, and they had a daughter named Arlene. And I got a chance to meet some real live Mexicans. And it was like, oh, wow, guess who lives next door? And they spoke Spanish at home. I remember going into the backyard and listening to them communicate, and it was like, wow, that's intriguing. And uh, Mr. Lozano, Ernie, we called him, did his very best to acculturate me and make me speak Spanish and to teach me things about uh, Spanish culture, Mexican culture in America, and the difference between Spanish and Mexican, and the difference between Mexican in California and Mexican in Texas. And there are so many nuances and different levels of what being a Mexican is all about. I gain a lot of appreciation for what that means. And I understand the the difficulty in learning a language, but when you're in a country and the dominant language is different than yours, you have to learn the language in order to operate in the business culture, in the business aspect of things, or you get taken advantage of. And that's just, to me, that's vitally important.
Was this guy, did he speak English well, or did he was an immigrant too?
Oh, he was an immigrant. He had an accent like you.
Like me?
Yeah, similar.
I thought that I don't have any accent.
His voice was heavier, but he had an accent, and he had a heart of gold. I love that man.
Bueno, nos está platicando Michael de su experiencia. Dice que él se mudó de Pensilvania cuando estaba en preparatoria y vino aquí a California. Dice, por primera vez vi a un mexicano real, y dice, y empecé a aprender de toda la cultura. Y para mi sorpresa tenía yo un vecino que también era mexicano, Ernesto Lozano, y tenía su familia, y dice, bueno, me invitaron, me enseñaron todo lo de la cultura mexicana, la diferencia entre la clase de hispanos, ya sea hispanos de Texas, hispanos de Nuevo México, hispanos de acá de California, y los que son inmigrados, los que ya nacieron acá. Dice, aprendí muchísimo, incluso me daba clases de español para aprender, pero dice, si de verdad, dice, yo entiendo todas las dificultades que tienen que pasar para aprender el idioma, sobre todo si estás trabajando todo el día con gente que habla de tu mismo lenguaje. Si en tu casa se habla de lo mismo, tienes que hacer un esfuerzo para salir de ese grupo y empezar a mezclarte. Yo sé que no es fácil, lo digo fácil, pero no es fácil, pero si no aprenden inglés en un país donde el inglés es la lengua dominante, siempre van a ser abusados. Y eso es una realidad. Por eso tenemos que hacer un esfuerzo para practicar y they have to listen TV in English, radio in English, but you can listen Café con Leche that is bilingual. Tiene que, que hacer un esfuerzo por estar escuchando más en el inglés para poder aprender. Y hay muchos recursos, ir a la escuela. How long do you think that somebody can learn another language?
Like, I think it depends upon the circumstances and the conditions. The more negative impact on you for not knowing the language, the quicker your learning curve, I think. People will learn what they need to learn in order to succeed or to communicate, to get over, if you will. I was just thinking back in junior high school when I first came to California, there were young Mexican kids in my classes who were forbidden to speak Spanish, not only at school, but at home. And they grew up and not learning Spanish themselves. their grandparents spoke it. Sometimes their parents spoke it, but they did not practice it. They did not speak it at home, or well, everybody was trying to learn English, so that was just the focal point. To be successful and to get along in the culture, you had to learn the language. And then there's a my generation, baby boomers, are sort of a generation of non-Spanish speaking Mexicans because of the social pressure in American society at the time.
Nos está platicando que cuando él se vino acá a trabajar, tenía yo alumnos, venía de Pensilvania, tenía yo alumnos que eran hispanos, ¿no? Pero se les prohibía estrictamente que hablaran español en la clase y se les prohibía también que hablaran español en su casa. De esa manera se forzaron muchísimo a aprender. Dice, por eso en la generación de baby boomers hay tantos hispanos que no pueden hablar español. Entonces, esa era una forma de presionar. Do you know, this is why when we came as a Mexican, you come and, for example, I remember the first time that I flew here I can't remember where did I go, but I was Mexican from Mexico City, and I came and I said, and the flight attendant, she told me, what do you want to drink? And I said, cafe.
Mm-hmm.
And then she looked like Mexican, so much Mexican, that she said, I don't understand. And I was so upset.
Right.
But then I understood that there are so many that they never had the opportunity to learn Spanish. And it's so sad that now in this time, we have to speak both languages.
Right.
No?
Well, and in those days, it wasn't that they didn't have the opportunity. It was forbidden and taught against it. It was more than not having the opportunity to speak it. There was a whole effort and practice of no, I don't want my kids to speak Spanish because they won't be able to be successful. That was the attitude. That was what it was like then. Well, that we've gone because of that, and I think the feeling among a lot of non-Spanish speaking Mexicans, they want to make sure that children learn, because it is culturally, it's part of your language, is part of your culture, and I respect that a great deal. I am not. There are a lot of people who are offended and feel threatened and out of sync and everything if they can't speak Spanish, or if people speak Spanish around them. Oh, I don't speak Spanish. That's fine. I'm learning more and more every day. I understand a lot more than I can say, but there are people in this country who only speak English and don't think that anybody should be speaking anything else, which is so limited. I think we should. I don't know. I just have a lot of respect for people who can speak more than one language.
We should be like Europeans, no? That they speak 4 or 5 different languages.
Exactly.
But let me tell you something also. It's very difficult for parents who they are trying to teach Spanish to their children.
Mm-hmm.
And also they are trying that they speak English very well.
Right.
But then the parents also want to practice to learn English, but how they do it, they have to speak Spanish to children. Otherwise, the language is going to be lost. Now I have to
remind you, you need to translate this.
Oh, estamos hablando, amigos, rápidamente de cómo la diferencia de cómo alguna gente no quiere que otra gente hable otro idioma. Y nosotros pensamos que hay que hablar muchos idiomas, no solo uno, pero muchos, y estamos también hablando de la dificultad que algunos padres tienen para poder aprender inglés mientras le están enseñando español a sus hijos. Pero tienen que hacer el esfuerzo, porque aquí tenemos un ejemplo que ella habla inglés y español muy bien, así es que vamos a pedirle que nos dé la receta aquí a Denise. Bueno, ya nos vamos, ¿verdad? Michael, say goodbye, please.
No, is it time to go?
Yeah.
Oh, adios.
Adios, amigos.
Adios. Such fun. I was enjoying myself.
Bueno, I'm so glad. Bueno, nos vamos. Muchísimas gracias. Bye.
Glad I had you translate that.